Is this thing on?
And I believe that society should respect all of God's children and what they do. But I don't believe that we should change male and female sports to accommodate trans people. I believe that trans people should have either their own league or like they can have their own, like, you know what I mean? 'Cause
Yeah.
I mean, the whole of society can't like meaningfully bend to the will of just a few people. The amount of trans people that are actually out there is less than 1% type shit. You know what I mean? And it's like
Yeah.
of the world population. And it's like you can't, it just doesn't make sense to say, hey, we need to change everything so that this small amount of people are accommodated. But I do want to say that I don't think that these people should be killed out in the streets. I don't think that they should be just hated for who they are. As if they're productive members of society, I think there should be a space for them. But I don't think
Yeah.
that society should change for them. You know what I mean? I think
Yeah.
behind
Or
the
our taxpayer money should be changing their sex in jail.
right. Yeah. I mean, those are different things. And so I hear you there. So the next question I have is, what do you believe about the people who voted opposite of you?
Oh my gosh. I feel like they're not even open-minded. I feel like they're selfish people. If you were to go to a Kamala rally and say that you're a Trump supporter, everybody would pretty much push you out the door. And that's what happened at the Beyonce rally, is that they were literally pushing Trump supporters out the door. And it's like, well, if this is an open rally and I want to see what this is about and why it's so popular and why you're voting for this person, that's one thing. But the people like Kamala supporters coming to Trump rallies, they were
Yeah.
like, oh, hi, how are you? And like, they weren't even like that. And it's just like, why is it like that? It's just because the people who are voting for Kamala are, I mean, are pretty much brainwashed. That's what I think, but just put it simply. So they don't think for themselves. They don't know why they're voting for her, except for that she's a woman or the fact that she's black. And it's like, if the roles were reversed, then it would be a big no-no. But
Sure. Yeah, no, I hear you. Yeah, I hear you. That's why I was like really pushing for you to be on the podcast. Right. Because I don't want to be a political left or right person. I believe that our country functions best if we have both of them in a balanced way. I
yeah,
mean, I hear you when there are spaces that are exclusive, right? Then that goes against what unity should be. And so I hear
yeah.
you. And I agree with you. So I hear you there. I hear you there. So what is the worst thing about society to you?
Oh my gosh, there's so much. Well, for one, we already talked about housing. That's ridiculous. I'm paying almost $2,000 for a two-bedroom, one bath, and it's 980 square feet or something like that, which is crazy. So trying to support or trying to even pay rent is a little difficult because, I mean, it can be difficult. It's not always difficult, of course, but it can be difficult. But yeah, so the high rent, I went to Safeway last night and we got soda and then a couple other things, and it was $100. That was expensive. And I'm like, holy
And
shit, we really didn't even get that much. We got maybe 2 bags of stuff and it was $100. And then I just feel like our wages don't reflect accordingly to how our housing market is.
right.
So, I mean, if our housing market was a little bit lower and we didn't have to pay an arm and a leg to eat, then our wages right now are perfect. But it's not like that. And to comfortably live, you have to have a $100,000 a year job to live
Yeah,
comfortably.
I know.
And it's miserable.
I do know that. And I agree. I was at the grocery store to get bread and it rang up at 5.99. And
Oh my gosh.
luckily it went down to 349 because it was on sale. But I was like, I'm not paying for 5.99 bread. There's no world where that makes sense to me to pay that much for bread. I'm serious.
Yeah.
So no, I do agree. I know things are extremely expensive, and some people believe that that was part of the reason why Trump was elected was because shit is ridiculously expensive out here, and
Mhm.
there's no ifs ands or buts about it. It is expensive to live in the United States. We're supposed to be the most comfortable, high
Yeah.
standard of life.
And it's like there's no room to have hobbies. Like you can either have a child or have hobbies. And
That's
it's
right.
like, well, why can't I do both?
Yeah, I hear you there. I know. Because and the system's kind of set up that you just have to continue to work, like work, right? Like
Yeah.
I've kind of taught myself to be a bit of a workaholic, but I get tired. I just want to sit and play some video games and veg out for a little bit. I don't want to have to work every hour of every day, even though
Yeah.
sure it would set me up good or whatever, but I want to be able to breathe and relax and be healthy or like exercise or something.
Yeah. And like when I was pregnant, I threw myself into preterm labor because I was working so much.
Yeah.
And I mean, being a barber, you're standing all day. And it's
Yeah.
like when other people don't want to work, someone's got to pick up the shift. And they're like, we don't want to ask the pregnant lady, but we have to. And then I'm like, yeah, I'll pick up the shift. I would love to like get as much money as possible before I go. And then I ended up going over bed rest for 2 months.
Jeez. Jeez.
Yeah.
Well, and was the delivery of your child? Okay. Mhm.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, no, everything. So it was just a nightmare. That's all.
I believe in
He
that.
so he didn't come early. He luckily he stayed in, and it was just like a warning, like you're just working too much, you're doing too much, and so I went on bed rest for 2 months.
And are you doing okay now?
Yeah, no, everything's
Okay.
good.
Okay, good. Man, I bet you it wouldn't have been that stressful if you didn't have to work that much.
Fine.
Because I'm sure you're probably thinking like, oh my God, I gotta work. I'm sure you were focused on getting the baby out, but like those
Yeah,
how to live and take care of your kid, those things still persist in the back of your mind. You know what I mean?
yeah. Well, luckily my husband got a really good job, so he was able to foot the bill. But
Yeah, good.
But yeah, it came in just the nick of time,
Good.
and because I was when he had this last job, he was only making 18.75 an hour,
Sure.
and then I was only making 17 an hour, but I was also making tips, which it just you never know what you're gonna
Yeah.
get.
Yeah.
You can make on average, I make about $300 a week in tips,
Sure.
and so it's not terrible,
It's
but
helpful.
it's helpful, and that's a whole income on itself. But luckily, when he got that job, I went into preterm labor.
Right.
So
Well,
I
like, it's
didn't
time. It's time, baby. It's time. Well, so what do you think about Trump saying he's trying to not tax tips?
oh, I am so excited for it. I'm ready for it.
Because
I'm
you
tired of
pay taxes on your tips right now, right?
yeah, so my job does it for me, luckily, and I don't have to keep track of all my tips.
Yeah.
And
But no, but the point is survival. Hello?
yeah,
You know what I mean? I get that because I always tip 20%, right? Like I always do. I mean, that's almost the standard now, but the point is that I don't skimp out on tipping because I know people live off tips. And I try to tip.
yeah,
I actually try to tip with cash because I know that you could just pocket that. It's like,
yeah.
and so I try to do that because I'm socially conscious and want to help people and know that it's just hard to live out here.
I mean, luckily the law says that so Washington law says
Yeah.
that we don't have to pay tax on our cash tips or something like that.
Okay.
It's
That's good
it's
to know.
all up to the employer.
Okay. I see.
That's how it works. But if I were to rent a booth or something, I would have to keep track of all of my tips and pay out quarterly for them.
Yeah.
But my job does that for me, and they just take it out of my check.
Okay. So the next question I have for you is, what do you believe is one of the reasons that Trump and the largely Republican Congress was elected?
So I'm not really well versed in the Congress per se, but I do believe that.
Well, I'll just tell
Um,
you, like Republicans took that both houses. Oh, like,
oh really?
yeah, they
That's
took the
what
Senate
I
and the House.
heard.
Yeah.
That's it. That is what I heard, and I mean, I feel like everybody, all the, I don't know, this is kind of a hot topic, I guess, but it's like the Republicans now are like what the Democrats once were, kind of thing.
The saviors of the republic type shit.
Yeah, and vice versa. And it's like the
Yeah,
Democrats are out for money and to tax up the ass. And that's
sure.
exactly how it is. And it's like, okay, like that was, I had one of my clients tell me that. And I was like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah,
I feel like they were just elected because people have the majority of the people have their head out of their ass. But
sure,
it took
sure.
a while. It took a while. And it took almost down to today to the second to figure it out. But I think he pull all of the swing states.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. He
So
did.
they know what they're doing. And unfortunately, Washington is still blue. But if you look at their county, it's
Mhm.
like only the west side and
Yep.
only like a couple of those counties are actually blue. There's
So
not
commend.
hardly any blue counties in Washington, but
That's
we
right.
still have Jay Inslee.
Yeah, we actually have Bob Ferguson now. James Lee's
Oh yeah,
turning out. Oh,
Bob Ferguson is still not any better. I wanted the
yeah.
other guy.
Yeah, it's one of the things because I'm getting out of politics, but I was very involved in politics. So like
Hmm.
on the local level, county level, and state level, right? And we don't have a sustainable way to fund some things, which is tough because we don't have an income tax here, right? We that's why everything is so expensive is because that's where we get our state taxes from everything else. But it's one of those things where deficits still exist, where
Yeah,
we've spent more than we take in, and so we like now there's not we can't just continue to rack up debt. Like that is not,
yeah,
especially when we're talking about, and I'm talking about on the federal level too. And so one of the things that anybody who's not concerned about the national debt, how can you not be concerned that foreign nations own some of our debt? Like that,
yeah.
just as a concept, feels really icky. So,
Yeah.
like,
I don't like how foreign nations own a lot of our land. That feels icky. And it's like
yeah,
if you look in one state or more than one state, I can't remember. But China owns all the land around it's either a army base or a
yeah,
nuclear
I
plant,
saw
and I
that.
can't remember.
I saw
And
that.
but yeah, it was like, are you serious? And it's like,
Yeah,
how do we let China of all places buy our land? They own enough.
yeah.
And it's just weird.
Well, I mean, a lot of homes are owned by Chinese businesses or individuals, which is, I don't want to paint the doom and gloom, but there is concern that like housing is so expensive and me as a millennial, you as a millennial can't afford to buy a home. And it doesn't seem really fair.
Also the fact that we won't have if everything keeps going the way it's going, we won't have the social security. We're gonna have to work until we die.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm not planning on there being Social Security when I'm ready to retire. And
Yeah,
I implore you to do the same because
yeah.
I don't know.
Can't we opt out to pay like on paying our social security?
Honestly,
'Cause
I don't think so. You can opt out of some state stuff like health insurance, but I don't think you can opt out on those taxes, like Medicare tax, Social Security tax. I don't think you can opt out of that stuff.
I have $100,000 in mine, and I'm like, I'd just rather have that right now and just put it in a 401k.
Yeah, no, that is not how the Social Security system works,
That's
which is
unfortunate.
but it is unfortunate, right? Because
Yeah,
because your labor is going into this, but they just pool it. And my understanding is that they borrow from that pool regularly. And
yeah.
so like we're always playing catch up to fill it. And it's just I mean, that's what's like
Mhm.
so the last one is, do you feel like you did enough to affect the election in the way you wanted to see it go?
Well, I mean, it's kind of hard to say that I really affected anything. I think I was more affected by it. My husband's family is very right, but I was just like, I disagreed with a lot of things that they were saying. And I mean, I guess you could say I was a little bit influenced by them, but it's also my choice. It's my choice to be like, yeah, that makes a lot more sense than voting for Kamala. And the fact that she was pushed on us and she
Wow.
was actually on the ballot at one point and nobody wanted her to run our country. And then all of a sudden Biden's dropping out and then she's running. trying to run our country.
That's actually a criticism that a lot of people have, even on the
Yeah,
left, that she was just kind of swapped out for Biden, and there was no
yeah,
primary, and so it's not really
yeah,
how the choice works.
yeah, exactly. A lot of my clients, because I live in a very Republican area, and a lot of my clients, they were telling me all these facts, and I look them up, of course, and then I start watching all these videos about what's really going on in the country, because you can't believe Fox or CNN, all of it's lies. And that's a big reason why I watch Amir, is because he follows this one website that it's news, but it's like what the left's talking about, what the right's talking about, and what the center's talking about.
Okay.
And so that's exactly what he bases all of his videos on. And so it's very helpful.
He definitely was. So the last question I have for you is, what do you want to say to yourself 4 years in the future?
I don't know. I mean, I just hope I'm not disappointed, I guess.
Sure.
Yeah. And hopefully by then I'll have the vaccine for my son.
Sure.
Because I mean, I put God knows what in my body. So I'm not concerned about me. And I'm still alive. And I've lived to 34 years with dumping garbage in my body all like constantly. I'm just worried about him
Sure.
and the garbage shit being dumped into his body at this young.
Yeah. Well, I completely understand that. And it looks like you're doing very well. So I'm very glad to see that you are bright and shiny like yourself, like I always known you to be.
Yes.
Yes, thank you so much. Well, good. We are all different, but we are all also the same. What matters is we recognize that and move forward to make a better world for all. Thank you so much, Courtney. I really appreciate you for being on with me.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me.